morning from Greece. Kalimera, Yassas. My name is Mary and I'm Christina's friend. I'm making this video just to show you a little bit of Greece. Greek people are very hospitable and they like preparing food most of the time and eating food. We love drinking our Greek espresso freddo cold coffee, and we spend a lot of time with our friends hanging around. We also work a lot, but we sacrifice our rest for taking some walk outside or being with our loved ones. Now we are in the countryside. You can see here olive trees. Greece has too many olive trees and produces olive oil, virgin olive oil. We also produce honey. As you can see, it's very colorful. Spring in Greece is really colorful. There are a lot of beautiful flowers. You can see now why we love being outside. Come and visit us. You're welcomed. When you visit Greece, don't forget to taste souvlaki, a national sandwich, moussaka, of course our cold coffee espresso freddo. Bye bye, love from Greece.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, so where is Greece? Greece is part of the European Union. And today we're not only traveling to Greece, but we're also going to travel back in time to see the second missionary journey of Paul. You can read about it in Acts 16 and 17. He first went to Neapolis or Kavala, and then he walked to Philippi. Then he went through Apollonia and Amphipolis to get to Thessalonica. He preached there for a few days, and then he went to Berea. And finally, he went all the way down to Athens and into Corinth. So we're going to take that journey with him. Paul has a dream from God that a man in Macedonia is calling for him to come and preach the gospel. And so he makes his way to Greece and lands in this port right here. Okay, this is Kavala, where he landed. See, and then he walked. And he walked. And he walked. Paul did a lot of walking, man. He must have been fit, boy, I tell you what. This is the road that Paul took to get everywhere that he went in Greece. This is called the Via Egnatia. It was an ancient trade route, and it would take about 12 hours to drive across. But for now, Paul is just gonna walk 10 miles from the port city of Kavala to his first destination, where he'll preach in Philippi. That means that he essentially walked the whole span of Antigua just to get to his first preaching location. Man, he must have been talking up a storm, I tell you what. And then Paul stopped at a cafe. We are upstream of the Zinginthos River. And this is St. Lydia's baptistry, where she was baptized. I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, so we'll see how long I last. And this is where Paul and his crew went on the Sabbath. They came and they found some women and they preached to Lydia, and then she was baptized. I got kicked out after all. Alright, this is the Roman Forum. There's Paul's prison. The Acropolis was on the top of the hill, and then this is like the marketplace. This is where they took Paul and Silas to judge them. So the story goes, there was a demon-possessed girl who was a fortune teller that was following Paul and Silas around everywhere they went, whenever they went to the river to pray. And one time Paul got so annoyed that he just turned around and cast the demon out of her. And so her owners were super mad because then she couldn't fortune tell for them anymore. And so they brought Paul and Silas to this place to be judged and then put into prison. The prison of St. Paul. The guard was sleeping, and then when he woke up and he saw that the doors were open, he assumed that they had all escaped. And then Paul and Silas cried out to him and were like, "No, we're here." And it says that the jailer then called for light, and he saw that everyone was still there. And then he got saved, and his whole household was baptized. But they found out Paul was a Roman citizen and that they had beat him without a trial, and so they got scared and they kicked him out of Philippi. So he's on the road again, 33 miles to Amphipolis, where he just stayed one night, so we're just going to pass through, and then another 33 miles to Apollonia, where he also just stayed the night, and we're going to pass through. Next stop, Apollonia. And it's probably going to be dark. Apollonia. Come during the daytime. Okay, we're here at the Roman Forum in Thessaloniki. This is where Jason would have been interrogated. Here's Aristotle. So Paul preached the good news of Jesus Christ in the Jewish synagogue, and many Jews and also Greeks converted to Christianity. But the Jews of Thessaloniki were jealous of Paul, and so they formed a mob and they chased him. And they found Jason, who Paul was staying with. This is where Jason's house was. Jason wouldn't give up Paul's location, but that night, the Jews who had converted to Christianity sent Paul away in the dark of the night to escape the angry mob. But the mob followed him to Berea. Anyways. I'm in Berea. You can hear the river next to me. But Paul came here to Berea after leaving Thessalonica. People in Thessalonica that didn't like him followed him and eventually kicked him out of here too. When Paul got here, he started preaching to the Jews in the Jewish synagogue. They tested what he said in the scriptures. Pretty cool people in Berea. And he went on to Athens by boat. He preached again in the Jewish synagogue and in the Roman Agora, which you see right here. From the Roman Agora, you can look up and see the Acropolis. I didn't even realize it at the time, but here I'm standing on Mars Hill, which is where Paul preached to the Athenians. He looks around and he sees all of their idols made of stone, and he even finds an idol made out to the unknown God, just in case they missed one. And so he preaches to them and tells them about Jesus and says, "In him we live and move and have our being." And he tells them that God is so much greater than these man-made idols. From Athens, Paul went on to Corinth. This is the Corinth Gulf. What's different about Corinth is that here Paul ends up staying for 2 years. And God tells him before he goes, "Do not be afraid, but go on speaking and do not be silent. No one will attack you to harm you, for I have many in this city who are my people." And that is different because everywhere Paul has gone, as we've seen, there is so much opposition. They begged him to leave Philippi because they beat him and then found out he was a Roman citizen. They chased him out of Thessaloniki, and then he went to Berea. And the people from Thessaloniki followed him and chased him out of Berea. Which is kind of crazy because then you look at these places now and there's church upon church upon church upon church of veneration towards Paul. Paul definitely left his mark on Greece, but it's time for a revival because I'd say over half of these churches were just tourist attractions. I really enjoyed my time in Greece. I didn't even mind the wildfires because they made for really great pictures. I also got to see monasteries that were built on these stone structures in the 1300s, one brick at a time. This country has such a rich history, and I'm so grateful I get to share it, and most importantly, that we can pray together for the country of Greece.